Oh, people love their routines, don't they? Love their schedules, their little boxes, their rules. They follow them like clockwork, like well-trained little performers in a show they didn't even write. And when the time comes, when the moon says so, they switch, they stop, they suffer, and they call it discipline. Funny thing about suffering, though, it's got a timer, a start and end, a neatly wrapped package with a bow on top. They say this is the holy month, this is when we do it, this is when we struggle, but the rest of the year? Oh, that's a different story. That's when the hunger disappears, the thirst vanishes, the patience, oh, it's optional. Like a mask they put on and take off depending on the season. Oh, people are so predictable, aren't they? They love their rituals, their traditions, their little performances. They follow them like puppets on a string, dancing to a tune they never wrote. And the funniest part? They don't even question it. No. They just do it. Every year, like clockwork. Because they were told to. They wake up before dawn, rub the sleep from their eyes, shove a few bites of food into their mouths, not because they're hungry, but because, they have to. Then they wait. And they wait. They get cranky, they get tired, but they wear that suffering like a badge of honor. Because that's what they were taught. That's what good people do. But here's the twist. Come a different month, any month, you offer them the same challenge, the same sacrifice, and suddenly, it's impossible. Why would I fast outside of Ramadan? That's not the rule. The rule. The invisible leash that keeps them in line, that tells them when they can eat, when they can starve, when they can pretend they're above it all. See, obedience is a funny thing. It doesn't ask questions, it doesn't think, it just follows. And when people stop thinking, well, that's when the real fun begins. Because now they're not doing it because they believe in it. No. They're doing it because that's just what they do, like a machine, programmed for 1 month of suffering, 11 months of forgetting. A well-oiled system that runs on autopilot. But let's take a closer look, shall we? If something is so sacred, so pure, so important, then why lock it away in a single month? Why not embrace it every day, every week, every moment? But that's not how it works, is it? No. That would require effort. That would require thought. And people, they hate to think. Thinking makes things messy. Thinking makes them question. And the last thing people want is to question why they do what they do. It's easier this way. Follow the rule, tick the box, feel holy, move on. They don't have to ask themselves the hard questions. Questions like, do I actually believe in this? Do I actually understand it? Or am I just playing a role? But nobody likes those questions. They make people uncomfortable. And we can't have that, can we? No. Better to stick to the script. Better to follow the crowd. Because if everybody's doing it, it must be right. Right? Discipline. That's a funny little word, isn't it? People love to throw it around. Love to wear it like a medal, but only when it's convenient. Only when there's an audience. Only when everyone else is doing it too. But real discipline? The kind that isn't written in a book? The kind that isn't expected? Now that's a different story. See, for 1 month they transform. They become these warriors of restraint, these masters of self-control. No food, no drink, no bad habits. Oh, the way they talk about it, you think they just climbed a mountain with their bare hands. Look at me, look at my suffering. Look how strong I am. But then the clock strikes midnight on that last day, and just like that, poof, the discipline disappeared, gone, like it never even existed. Isn't that interesting? The second the rule book stops enforcing it, the second the month is over, so is their strength, so is their willpower. They sprint towards their old habits like they've been dying of thirst in the desert. Finally, I can eat whatever I want. Finally, I can indulge again. But wait. I thought this was about discipline. I thought this was about self-control. If you were truly strong, wouldn't you keep going? Wouldn't you hold on to this so-called power even when no one's watching? Oh, but that's the trick, isn't it? It's not really about strength. It's about following orders. When the system tells them to stop, they stop. When the system tells them to go, they go. There's nothing real behind it. It's just performance, a game. And the game is simple: obey, and you win. You ever notice how they talk about it, though? It's the hardest thing, but it makes me better. Better? Better how? Did it change you, or did you just survive it? Did you learn, or did you just endure? See, true discipline isn't about what you can't do. It's about what you choose to do. And choice, ooh, real choice, that's a rare thing, because choice means thinking. Choice means taking responsibility. And nobody likes that. They want to be told when to be strong. They want to be told when to suffer. They want to be told when they're good enough. Because if someone else tells them, well, then they don't have to figure it out for themselves. And isn't that just so much easier? Habits. They're funny little things, aren't they? People cling to them like a child clutching a broken toy, whispering, "This is mine, this is who I am." But you and I both know, habits, they don't belong to you. You belong to them. Take a good, long look at them. The ones who walk the streets, the ones who fill the mosques, the ones who bow their heads in perfect synchronization as if controlled by some invisible hand. Every year, without fail, they go through the motions. 1 month of sacrifice, 1 month of hunger, 1 month of discipline, and then back to the way things were, like it was all just some kind of performance, a show for God, a show for their families, a show for themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, there's something beautiful about tradition, isn't there? The way it wraps around people like a warm, familiar blanket, safe, comforting. But comfort is a funny thing. It tricks you. It makes you think you're in control, when really you're just floating, drifting, following the same path, the same rules, because that's just how it's done. Tell me, if fasting is meant to bring discipline, if it's meant to cleanse the soul, then why does it only happen once a year? Why does the struggle have an expiration date? Shouldn't real discipline be woven into every day, every moment? Shouldn't real restraint be a way of life, not just a seasonal event? But no, that's not how it works, is it? People don't want to be disciplined. They want the illusion of discipline. They want a challenge they know will end. because an ending means relief. An ending means reward. Oh, and the reward, that's the best part, isn't it? They suffer for a month and then, then they feast, they devour. They celebrate their return to indulgence, as if it was never about change, never about growth, just a brief pause before diving right back into everything they claim to leave behind. Strange, isn't it, how suffering can become a ritual? How people will endure hardship, not because they want to, but because they were told to. And when the chains are lifted, they don't break free, they run back to their cages. They choose to return to the habits they claim to despise. Because real change, that's terrifying. Real sacrifice, that's permanent. They want temporary. They want to play at discipline, to taste struggle, but only when it's convenient, only when there's a finish line in sight. Because if there's no finish line, then what are they running toward? Ah, the cycle, the great endless cycle. People love cycles, don't they? It makes life simple, predictable. You wake up, you work, you eat, you sleep, you repeat, you follow the rules, do as you're told, nod along, pretend you understand. It's easier that way. No thinking, no questioning, just obeying. But every now and then something comes along and breaks the routine. A little test, a little game. And oh, people love games, especially when they think they're winning. Now look at them. Look at how they act when the month begins. Suddenly their voices soften, their tempers shrink, their hands stop reaching for things they shouldn't. They're disciplined, restrained. They wear patience like a mask, tight across their faces. They think it makes them look holy, but you and I both know masks crack. And when they do, well, what do you think happens underneath? They hold back their hunger all day, not because they want to, but because the clock tells them to. The sun sets and the mask slips, and oh, how it slips. The moment they're free, the moment the chains are loosened, they devour. Not just food, no. They devour everything. Their old habits, their old indulgences, they inhale them like they were holding their breath the whole time, waiting to exhale their real selves. Because that's what it is, isn't it? A performance, a temporary little act, waiting for its final curtain call. They tell themselves they've changed, that the hunger made them better, that the restraint purified them. But what happens when the month is over? What happens when there's no one watching? When the rules disappear? Do they keep their patience? Do they hold on to their control? Or do they throw it all away, relieved that they don't have to pretend anymore? See, here's the secret. True restraint isn't about starving. It isn't about watching the clock. It isn't about proving to others that you can hold back. No. True restraint, it's in what you do when no one is looking. It's in the choices you make when there's no one to praise you, no one to judge you, no one to remind you that you're supposed to be good. But people don't like that. They like rules. They like structure. They like being told when to stop, when to start, when to suffer, when to indulge. It makes things easier. They don't have to think. They don't have to decide. They just follow. And when it's over, they sigh in relief, like prisoners stepping out of a cage, never realizing they built the bars themselves. Because real discipline, it doesn't come with a start date. It doesn't come with an expiration. It doesn't disappear when the month ends. It's always there, but most people, they don't want always. They want sometimes. Just enough to feel good, just enough to say they tried, just enough to convince themselves they're still in control. Because the truth, the real dirty little truth, they never were. You ever notice how people love to play dress up? Oh, they do. They step into their costumes, paint on their faces, and suddenly they're someone else, someone better, someone purer. But the funny thing about masks, they always come off. And when they do, oh, it's not a pretty sight. You watch them, don't you? You see it. That one month, that one special month where they all become saints. They talk softer, walk humbler, smile wider. They put their desires in a little box, lock it up tight, and throw away the key. For now. They convince themselves they're different, that for 30 days they're something holier, something higher. They tell themselves they feel it, the peace, the clarity, the discipline. But deep down, way deep down, there's a whisper, a tiny little voice that says, tick-tock, tick-tock, just wait. Because the moment the sun sets, oh, that's when the real fun begins. They sit at tables that groan under the weight of their appetites. They devour, they indulge, they fill themselves up so fast you'd think they were trying to make up for all the meals they missed. And then they lean back, sigh, and say, this is what it's all about. Really? Really? You starve yourself all day just to feast like a king the second the rules say you can? That's not discipline. That's just waiting. And it's not just food. No. It's everything. The patience, the kindness, the self-grow trope. They wear it like a fancy coat, something nice to show off while it's in season. But when the month ends, what happens? That coat, off it goes, stuffed back in the closet, saved for next year. And the real person, the real them, back in action. It's a game, a performance. And the best part, they don't even know they're playing. They think they're winning. They think they've proven something. But the real test, it's never been about a single month. No. The real test is in what you do after. When the streets aren't lined with reminders, when no one's watching, when you're alone. See, a caged animal might behave, might sit still, might obey, but open the door and what does it do? It runs, it snaps, it lunges for everything it was told it couldn't have. That's not self-retrainal. That's just leashed desire. And when the leash comes off, well, let's just say the teeth come out. But the best part, the part that really makes it funny, they don't see it. They think they passed the test, that they proved something, but the truth? Oh, the truth is so much simpler. The truth is, if you need a date on the calendar to tell you when to be better, you were never better at all. I'm curious, have you ever seen a man pretend he's drowning just so someone will jump in to save him? Oh, it's quite the show. He thrashes, he gasps, he flails his arms like a fish on dry land, making sure everyone's watching. And then, just when you think he's about to go under, he laughs. Because he was never drowning at all. He just wanted to see who would come running. Funny thing, isn't it? The way people love a little drama. They crave it. need it, because without it, what are they left with? Just themselves. And let's be honest, no one likes to be alone with themselves, so they create problems, they invent struggles, they tie themselves up in imaginary chains, then beg for someone to set them free, and when they do, oh, the relief, the gratitude, the joy, it's intoxicating, addictive even. So they do it again and again. But here's the real trick. What if no one jumps in? What if the world just watches? What if the crowd doesn't gasp, doesn't cheer, doesn't move a muscle? Then what? Well, then the act starts to crack. The faker realizes he's alone, that no one's coming, and in that moment he has a choice. Sink for real or learn to swim. Now let's talk about fasting. You know that thing where people suffer on purpose? Oh, they'll tell you it's not suffering. No. It's devotion, it's discipline, it's for something bigger. And yet, look a little closer. See their hands tremble when they check the time. See the way their eyes linger just a little too long on the food they can't have. See the way their patience, their kindness, their peace. It all starts to wear thin as the hours drag on. Oh, they wear the mask well at first. In the morning, they're strong, confident. They say, this is good for me. By noon, they're a little quieter, a little slower. By evening, they're snapping at shadows. But still they hold on, because the moment is coming, that golden moment when the clock says yes. And when it does, oh, the feast begins, the mask comes off, and the real hunger, the one they tried so hard to hide, devours everything. And so, I have to wonder, what exactly was the point? Was it discipline? Was it sacrifice? Or was it just a game? A game where you lose on purpose, just so you can enjoy the victory later. Because if you only act controlled when you're forced to, that's not control, that's just waiting. And here's the best part, the part that really makes me laugh. They think it's a test of strength, a test of will, a test of faith. But tell me, what kind of test do you already know the answers to? What kind of challenge comes with a countdown clock? Because the real test, oh, that happens when there's no rules, no structure, no one watching. That's when the truth slithers out, when the mask slips, when the hunger shows its face. It's funny, really. They think they're proving something to the world, but all they're proving is that when the chains come off, the beast inside them isn't tamed. It was just waiting for permission.